Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Friendly Palestinian podcast. In today's episode, I have a very special guest. Her name is Katya, and she's one of my closest friends. So, welcome, Katya, first of all. I would like to ask you, who are you? That's my first question.
That's a very interesting question, especially that you know me more than anyone already.
I do, that's true.
And we have a very interesting way of how we met, which we'll come back to it later. So my
Yeah.
name is Katerina,
Uh-huh.
and I'm 30 years old, unfortunately.
Why, unfortunately? Age is just a
And
number, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah. And I'm from Russia. I moved to UAE around 10 years back.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Wow, that sounds like an interesting story to
yeah.
tell. So how did you hear about the UAE? Because I know a lot of Western countries, they don't know much about the UAE. So how did you come to hear about the UAE and a job opportunity here?
Yeah, so it starts from very earlier stage. So basically, when I was still very young girl,
Mm-hmm.
I always knew, and my parents knew that I'll be studying in Russia and working in Russia. And my parents, they were working in Ministry of Interior, so it kind of was the path for me as well, that I will work in Ministry of Interior also. And then another option for me was to work in Boeing. So half a year before finishing university, I realized that um, I want to move to another country and I don't want to live and work necessarily in Russia anymore. And it was not conscious decision. It was kind of like my subconscious who told me that. And I didn't know that much about UAE. I just knew that I wanted to move, doesn't matter where. And I found that the best option was UAE because I kind of knew only English language. I didn't know any other language. And in this country, you can comfortably live only with English language rather than in Europe, like in Germany and France, you need to know their language. So that was the best option. And yeah, this is
So
how
you
it
thought
went.
it would be easy coming to the UAE and
Yeah,
speaking English rather than learning a new
yeah,
language and going
yeah,
to France or Germany or any European country.
correct. Yeah.
How old were you when you took that move?
So I was 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I moved here right after graduation. So I found a job opportunity. It was an internship in one of the hotels here, and which was the salary was maybe less than 2K. And
Dirhams.
yeah, and basically, once I moved here and worked first day, I realized that this is not the work for me at all.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the way they treat you here in the hotel field, it's not the best. And I realized that I'm not passionate about it at all. I was working in guest service, and since day one, I just went on Indeed and applied for all the possible jobs available there. And one of the companies, they called me and they're like, well, you don't have any experience, but you have an engineering degree, so we might just take you. So this is how I started to work in first proper company here in UAE. It's an international company.
Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, the salary was still not that great. It was like 5 or 6K.
But
Yeah.
still, it was a big step up from where you were or what you came here to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
That's quite a bold move for someone your age to do that and just to come to uncharted territory basically and live and try to experience something new, especially that it's a new culture for
yeah,
you. For someone to move from Russia to the UAE, obviously that shows that they want to be independent. That shows that they want to be relying on themselves fully. So, what does independence mean to you, and how do you tackle it in this culture? Like, how did you get here and become independent on your own in a new country, in a new culture?
I think before I talk about what independence means to me specifically, we need to understand what is the general meaning of independence. So, which is when one person relying on him or herself fully. And that way, the person doesn't rely on anyone else at all. which is, if to really follow that, it's a path to the complete failure, because there is no way any person in the world doesn't need to rely on anyone, whether it's your family, your friends, your employer. There is always someone you need to rely on. Doesn't matter in terms of what, like you're relying on your family when you live with them, you're relying on your employer when you have a job, you're relying on your friends when you make your weekend plans, whatever. So there is always someone you are kind of relying on, and that's not possible to have like complete, full self-reliance in this case. So
That's true.
in my case, because I was living like kind of in a bubble in Russia with my parents, so yeah, it was completely different and something new when I moved here. But then when I was in Russia, I was relying on my parents, but then when I moved here, I was already relying on my employer.
Yeah.
So for me, what independence means is when you are relying on someone, but not to the extent when it becomes like
Full reliance.
not to the extent when it can bring you to a point where you will be like in a deep hole out of which you cannot get out anymore. This is what independence means to me.
I know that what you're saying is true, that independence shouldn't mean that you are relying on yourself fully. For sure. No one can live without humans. We're social animals at the end of the day. We need human interactions, whether it's the fact that we need to rely on someone financially or emotionally or whatever the situation is. But at the end of the day, independence will mean, in this case, that you are financially capable of making your own decisions without going back to someone. And even if it's your employer, technically you're still independent from where you were before.
So I was fully independent since I was 14 years old. I started to work in a fashion store, selling clothes and shoes. Then I was working as a barista. Then I was working as a photographer. So I kind of always had my own income rather than parents' income as well. So it wasn't something new to me. And as well, when I moved in here, yes, I didn't get enough salary maybe, but I was still not relying on anyone else.
Yeah.
So that was perfect. But then once I got into my first serious relationship, and it might sound a bit crazy what I'm about to say, or maybe a bit stupid in someone's opinion, but this was my way of learning. When your partner is telling you that you can rely on me fully, you don't need to do anything, you will not be needing anything in your life as long as I'm here next to you. So you don't really think about that you need to make it in your career, or you need to be financially stable, or you need to have your own saving. You don't just naturally think about this stuff. Again, I'm saying this is not correct, but at that time as well, I was younger and I didn't have that experience still. So I was trusting my partner fully in this. So I kind of didn't care about my career and savings and all this kind of stuff. I thought I would be just like a sit-at-home wife, taking care of kids and just like, you know, not worrying about that at all. So once this relationship was over and I realized now I have to fully depend on myself only, that was a big lesson to me. And this is why in UAE specifically, you need to have as many connections as possible, even if it's not your close group of friends. Yes, you need to have your own community, your own group of very close friends, but you also need to have as many connections as possible. Because what happened to me, I was working at that second company, which the environment was there a bit toxic. And I mentioned to one of the people I was working with that I'm not sure if this is the right job for me. So he mentioned to me something like that you just need to be ready and prepared, and just in the right time, when the opportunity comes, you're ready and you have to grab it. So that's what happened after around maybe 9 months. That same person to whom I was telling I don't feel that this job is right for me, he called me and he said that well, there is an opportunity in one of these amazing companies where I'm working at the moment. And I'm working now in construction company as business development manager.
Yeah.
So he told me there is an opportunity and would you like to try? I'm like, yeah, of course. And this is how I ended up in my next company, and the income was better and I could finally rely on myself fully. And it was thankfully to God or to circumstances. So it was really great. Again, I don't think that financially I'm at the place where I want to be. I still want to grow more. But what I realized in last 10 years of living in UAE, that me, as well as many other people, most probably, no matter how much money you make, no matter how much salary you make, no matter how much you grew in your career, you always want more.
Of course.
And it never ends.
Yeah.
So, and there was a saying, I think it's Jim Carrey, actor Jim Carrey. He said once that I wish all people were rich and famous so that they can just realize that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like here in Emirates, this is one of the main goals which all people have. They just wake up every day, they're trying to make it in their career, make more money, go to their workout, whatever, and they just act like robots, basically, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I think that I didn't see the actual statistics, but from what I see around me, the depression level in UAE is a bit high. Why? Because there are people like you who maybe have some of their relatives here living in the country as well. But for example, for me, I don't have any single relative who is living here. Imagine how many people they live here, they don't have any single relative here. And as much as it's important to have your own close circle of friends, it's also important to have your family around. And of course, they are not around here, so I make sure that I visit them once a year or they visit me here once a year.
Of course.
But this huge amount of people, they don't have anyone here. And imagine the level of how fragile they are. So I wish just people in UAE, they were more... I feel like at the moment it's kind of transactional relationship between people, mainly. It's not in all the cases, but mainly it's more of a transactional relationship at the moment. Doesn't matter it's romantic or friendship or whatever kind of relationship it is. It's more or less transactional. And if we were just more genuine in the way we communicate to each other and the way we talk to each other, and we try to interact with each other not because of the certain benefit, but because genuinely we want to know what's up with that person, then it would be a much better place and people will be much more happier, because this is one of the pillars to happiness. Okay, of course, one of the pillars is money.
Yeah.
But it's not as much important,
honestly,
as your family, your friends, your partner.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things.
You can be happy and poor at the same time. It really is not a metric for happiness having money. Although some people who don't have money at all, if they have a little bit more money, then they're going to be happier. But there's a certain limit to that. So say you're making $80,000 a year, you should be able to be happy, unless it's from your own doing.
Yeah, and see how many people in UAE, they have so many things. And it's not only in UAE, it's all over the world. Like, no matter how many things they have in life, they have it all, but they're still not happy.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is most probably they don't have a partner to share all this wealth with. They don't have a family around to share all this wealth with. Or they don't have friends around them. So those three things is very important. And for me, even when I was working in my first job, which I could barely pay my bills with that, I still made sure that I will go once a year at least to my home country and make sure that I will visit my family, because
to maintain these connections.
Yeah, this is one of the very important things to me.
So, how has living in Abu Dhabi influenced your approach to self-care? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of coping strategies that you can share with us about how living in Abu Dhabi has changed your perspective on self-care. Because as you said, you go to your home country once a year. What else do you think you can share with us?
Yeah, so for me, it was always so since I came, it was always important for me to have my group of friends, um, and to have my own hobby, let's say.
Mm.
So, and I remember since I came, I was always friends mainly like with Arabs and with Egyptian, Lebanese, Syrian, Palestinian. So this was kind of people I could not relate to because we're coming from very different backgrounds, but
Mm.
I clicked with those people. So
Oh, sorry to stop you. Do you think Palestinians are friendly?
I think it doesn't depend on nationality, it depends on the person. So
In
each
general,
nationality.
from what you've seen so far, like from because you said you've met Syrians, Lebanese,
I've met
Palestinians.
unfriendly Palestinians as well as I met friendly Palestinians. All of them were great people. So yeah,
That's very nice of you to
yeah,
say
yeah.
that. Yeah,
All of them
please
were
go
great
on.
people. Um, yeah, so this was kind of one of the important things for me, which I made sure that I have my group of friends, and as well as it was important for me not just to have this like very um, connection like on a surface level.
Mm.
Whenever I'm trying to be friends with a person, or in general, whenever I'm trying to get to get to know any person, I try to make sure like what their background, how they grew up, and where they are from. Like if they're from Lebanon, okay, where from in Lebanon? Because I want to educate myself. I want to know which areas are there. And most of the
Mm.
times, people will say, "Okay, why do you need to know that? You don't
Yeah.
even know like the areas which we have, you know. So what is the difference to you?" Like, no, I just want to know, you know, because like next time someone I will ask, oh, from which area are you? And he'll tell me, okay, or she will tell me from this and this area. I'm like, oh, I have a friend or the person I know who is also from that area. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I know this and this about this area. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, correct. So I'm trying to know what is the background of the person, what is the way the person grew up, what he was or she was eating,
So
you
you
know?
don't want to keep the conversation as shallow as possible. You
Yeah,
want to go deep
yeah.
and get to know the
Yeah,
person on a
and
more.
not only because like I genuinely want to get to know the person. This is not one of the reasons. One of the reasons is because I want to educate myself as well.
Mm.
So I was trying to educate myself as much as possible about all the cultures, about Egyptian, about Moroccan, about Palestinian, about
Mm.
Syrian, etc., etc., etc. And this is how I found that, for example, as much as this is a Muslim country, but we have, let's say, Lebanese who they are half of them like Muslim, but half of them are Christian Catholic, you know.
Mm.
And I found that Egyptians, some of them Muslim, but some of them like Christian Orthodox, you know. And I
Mm.
found that Syrians, so many of them are Christians as well. So it doesn't mean that, let's say, it's this Arabic country, it will be a fully Muslim country. No, there will be like some Christian people who are living there also.
Mm-hmm.
Palestinian also, so many of them are Christian as well. They're not only Muslims.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is how I got to know and educate myself about religion as well.
What did you educate yourself most about Lebanese culture and the Lebanon?
It's a very interesting question.
I know that's why I'm
So,
asking it because I know from your TikTok where
yeah,
you have around 70,000 followers, if I'm
yeah.
not wrong, you focus a lot on how things that only Lebanese people would know. Like you shock people, you shock your audience with the amount of information you know about their culture.
We need to come back a little bit earlier for
Yeah.
that. So, just to give a bit of introduction, once I had this very horrible breakup because it's not easy to finish from 5 years
Yeah.
relationship. It was very difficult for me to cope uh, with the depression which I had, and I was crying day and night, and there was no way, and I was talking to the therapist. There was no way I could whatsoever possibly stop thinking about that person and break up. And whenever I think about that, I would just start crying and crying to the point that it will hurt me physically. It would hurt my chest. It would hurt me so much. So I was like, it's not possible. I need to do something which will distract me. So what I found to distract me is TikTok. So I just started to...
It was during COVID, right?
No, it was already after, like, coming out of COVID period.
Okay.
So I was like, it was, and because it was post-COVID, it was not easy as it was during COVID to go viral and just any video will be so popular. It became a little bit stabilized, so not everyone just can go viral, and that's it. So I started to post different kind of videos, funny videos, whatever. So, and I found that the audience really enjoys the most the videos about Lebanese and about Lebanese stuff and things which Lebanese people are doing, the way they're talking, etc.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make more videos on that subject since the people they like it, you know, and they start to comment like, how do you know all this stuff about us, you know? And for me, I was just observing like the way people act, and because at that time I was really into Lebanese series as well, and also prior to that I started to learn Arabic, and my teacher, she was Lebanese, so she will tell me a lot of stuff about the culture and people and etc.
Okay.
So this is kind of how I knew some of the inside information which only Lebanese people would know usually as a rule.
Like what?
So like different stuff, like phrases that they say, the way they act, etc., etc. So one of the first videos which went super viral, and this is how we met as well, is this video where like Lebanese people coming back home broke after a night out, and then they say المهم انبسطنا. And this is a true story. Like, I remember my first ever friends group here in Abu Dhabi were like a Lebanese group of friends, and they would go like to the club, spend their whole salary in one night, and then next day they'll be like, oh damn, I spent my whole salary just to go out for one evening, you know. And then they will be like, okay, it doesn't matter, at least the most important we enjoyed, so it's fine, you know. So yeah. So I was like, this is where I got it, the idea from. And this is why like so many people could relate to it, and it went so viral. So many Lebanese people, they started to text me at the time, and you were one of the people. And that was a very interesting story. Like, to cut long story short, basically because my personality on TikTok, it was engraved with all this like Lebanese stuff. It became part of my TikTok personality. So you told me like, okay, let's go to this Lebanese orchestra with my friends and your girlfriend at the time, you know. Okay, it's Lebanese orchestra, I must go, you know. And this is where we met, and this is how we started to be friends after that. Yeah, so and TikTok really helped me to have kind of confidence, because so many people, they were texting me, and until now they're texting me on daily basis, oh, you're so amazing, like, it's so funny what you are doing, and I lift someone's mood up, and it gives me such a joy that people, like, they have such a great time watching my videos. Of course, there are comments there like, oh, she is just some Russian escort, whatever, you know, who
there's always going to be haters.
So, but I have also people who are protecting me in the comments. They're like, what are you saying? You are just jealous of normal person who is just working and minding her business in UAE. So I don't even need to say anything. I have like my audience who will protect me there and who will fight for me there as well. So yeah.
I was at my relative's place yesterday, and she's also a TikToker. She has like 120,000 followers on TikTok, and she was telling me something that really stuck with me. I want to ask you about it. Is that the people she met through TikTok and the people that she connects with on a daily basis through the platform, they've become like very important members of her circle, where she said that some of them are even closer than the people who are around her. Wow. Some of them who are willing to say anything or do anything for her, and also protect her in the comments, like you said. So I guess these hardcore fans who or having your back, even though you don't know them, shows you how irrelevant this whole, oh, she's my sister, or oh, she's my cousin, I need to be with her on her side, or I've known this person for 20 years. And then you meet someone on TikTok, or someone defends you on TikTok, who you've never met, but they know who you are because of what you've shown them. Have you had any certain instances where you met someone through the platform, through TikTok, other than
Uh,
me, because obviously we met from there?
I met a kind of few people. Sometimes people are coming up to me like in the street or in the mall, like, "Oh yeah, I saw you on TikTok. You look so much more pretty in real life." Blah blah blah. Yeah, so I didn't connect with anyone on more like deeper level because honestly, I just don't have time for it at this point. So that's why.
Do you think that if you were able to have time to dedicate yourself fully to just being a TikToker, or someone who goes live every day on TikTok, do you think that you would be able to build that community that you dream or aspire to have, like maybe 1 million followers or more?
It's not about number of followers rather than the quality of people who are following you and
Mm-hmm.
whether they have the same type of interest, the same things they enjoy as you are, etc. So but I think everything is possible. I don't see myself at the moment because I have such a great career in place
Mm.
doing TikTok as a full-time job, but maybe in the future you never know what happens.
Mm. That's cool. So, shifting topics now from TikTok, where we went straight there,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about what motivates you in today's life, what motivates you to strive for better, and what motivates you to live in this kind of competitive market in the UAE where things are moving quicker than you can blink, and what keeps you going as Katya?
I think that it was always something which was part of me. I wanted always to be better than I was yesterday. So this is basically the only thing that keeps me going. I always want to be better no matter what. Not then better than someone else, but better than what I was. So I want to see myself after 1 year. I want to look back and see that what progress I made. This is what very important to me and what motivates me.
So basically, you're not comparing yourself to other people, you're comparing yourself to where you've been, and you tend to measure your success based on how far you've come.
Yeah, correct. Of course, it's not possible to do it 100%. You will still look at other people, but I'm trying to not to do so as much as I can.
Mm.
And I find it most difficult it is to apply it for relationship. So when you're entering a relationship, especially in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, it's very difficult to not sabotage and end this relationship by doing like some stupid stuff. Why? Because simply you don't feel enough confident, you don't feel that you are enough, you don't feel that you are the right person. Why? Because simply there is so many, like for example in my instance, I'm a woman, how much more amazing, talented, with brilliant career women are here in UAE.
Mm.
So many. So you're always like, oh, she has so many talents, why would someone be with me? Or she is so pretty, why would someone be with me? Or she has such an amazing career and a talent and the business and looks, everything, so why would someone be with me? So you start to lose that confidence,
Mm.
and you start doubting yourself, and that put pressure on another person who is like trying to be a partner, and then you just makes this partner life miserable, and then it just ends without even starting, because you're always comparing yourself to this multiple people, who you don't know, like, okay, you see that they have this amazing looks, this amazing career, and etc., but you don't see something which maybe they don't have, something which you have it,
Mm.
because it's so difficult. Like, okay, I have no talent, so what could I possibly have that this other person doesn't have,
Yeah.
so and I find that it's not only for me, for many girls who are living here, it's the same issue.
Mm. To wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, what are the key takeaways that you learned from being here in the UAE? and what kind of advice would you give someone? Let me put it in a better way. What would you tell Katya that came here 10 years ago as advice? What would
Yeah.
you tell your younger self?
So first advice, which I was following actually, is to make as many connections as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It might be not again very close connection which you need to maintain and develop it and etc. It might be on a very surface like working colleagues level, but still you need to know that person because you never know who might help you in the future and where opportunity will come from in the future. Second thing is to be, and again, for some people it's difficult to learn it without actually experiencing it. But I will just mention, just in case, that yes, you must, as a woman, you must be fully independent. You must have your own saving. You must have your own finances. You must work on your career, no matter what other man or person tells you. And third thing, again, not to have this just transactional relationship, just to come out of place where you are not looking for the benefit, but you are actually coming out of place where you want to do something good for the person, not because of what person wants, but because you actually want to do it for the person. So when it comes out of a good space, then what great things are happening. Because if you are coming with intentions to just have a benefit, it's never going to end up in a very nice way. It's something wrong gonna happen for sure.
So basically it's all about good intentions, having the right intentions.
And people they can feel when you are pure and you come out of a good place, not with the wrong intentions, they can feel it.
Of course.
So whenever they feel it, you will be the first person they will call when you need any help or when any opportunity comes. Those are main 3 advices.
Well, thank you for sharing these advices, Katya. I'm so happy that we had this discussion. This was really, really interesting and very insightful for me. I really hope that everyone liked this episode.
I hope so too.
We hope that you tune in the future for more episodes from the Friendly Palestinian podcast. Thank you so much for staying till the end, and we'll see you next time.